Hi my dear friends, welcome back to another Python tutorial class. Now in this class we shall see how to apply the enumerate method, zip method and other methods on tuples. Okay, if you have tuples, how to apply these methods on tuples. Already we have covered enumerate, zip, filter, map, all these types of methods, how they work on on lists. Now we shall see how these methods can be applied on tuples. So like first of all you have the enumerate method, and already we know enumerate method, it yields an enumerate object. First point, enumerate method yields an enumerate object. This method maps the elements of the iterable, mapping them to numbers ranging from 0 to length of iterable minus 1. To fetch the elements from the enumerate object, we can use the tuple function and we get tuple of tuples. Same definition, like in case of list also we had covered enumerate method. First of all, it will return an enumerate object. Second, the job of the enumerate method is to map all the elements of an iterable one by one with numbers ranging from 0 to the length of the iterable minus 1. Okay. And the third is once you get the enumerate object, then to fetch the elements from the enumerate object, you can pass to the list function to get list of tuples, or you can pass to the tuple function to get tuple of tuples. Now let us see. Here you have E1 is equals to enumerate. So this enumerate method we are applying here, enumerate method, and inside this we are passing an iterable. Inside this we are passing an iterable. What sort of an iterable it is? It is a string iterable. The value is coding. Okay. How many elements it has got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So print E1 comma type E1 shall print this. So what happens is, first of all, you have the enumerate method. Inside this, you are passing the string iterable. So what will this enumerate method do? It will basically map all the elements of this iterable one by one with numbers ranging from 0 to the length of iterable minus 1. So the length of iterable minus 1 means basically, length of iterable minus 1 means basically 6 minus 1 is equals to 5, isn't it? Numbers ranging from 0 to 5. That's what it means. Enumerate method, it will map all the elements of the iterable one by one with the numbers ranging from 0 to the length of iterable minus 1. So it will start from 0 to length of iterable minus 1. Length of iterable means length of the string value. What is the length? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. So it will be from 0 to 5. All right, and from 0 to 5 these elements will be mapped. So enumerate method returns an enumerate object. This will be your enumerate object E1. So when you print E1 comma type E1, you get this enumerate object created at this address 0x, all these zeros 264cc 0105c0, and type of E1 will give you what type of object it is. Enumerate object, that is enumerate class. But you see, we have not yet been able to retrieve the elements or the components of the enumerate object. Okay, so just like list, in case of list also, at first we applied the enumerate method to get enumerate object. Then to fetch the elements from the enumerate object, we pass to the list to get list of tuples. Now instead of list, we have to use the tuple method, and inside the tuple method, we pass our enumerate object, which is your E1. That is basically this one. Okay. Inside the tuple method, you have to pass E1, which is my enumerate object, so as to fetch the elements from the enumerate object, and the results are stored in this variable tup. Now print tup comma type tup. If you do, then in case of tuple, when you pass the enumerate object, then you get tuple of tuples. So this will be tuple of tuples. You see, tuple. This is the first bracket opening. This is the first bracket closing. And inside this, what do we have? Inside this, we have all these tuples, sets of tuples, which are separated from each other by commas. Okay. So what is the first tuple that we get here? The first tuple is 0, comma C. Definitely, the enumerate method, it will basically map all the elements of the iterable one by one with numbers ranging from 0 to the length of iterable minus 1. Already we have seen that the range will be 0 to 5. It will start from 0 to the length of iterable minus 1. Length of iterable minus 1 gives you 5. We have seen this. So C, it lies at what index position? C lies at 0th index position. Then O, it lies at what index position? O lies at 1th index position. Okay. Then D, it lies at 2th index position. I, 3rd index position. N, 4th index position. G, 5th index position. Isn't it? So the last element of this iterable G, it lies at what index position? 5. Directly also you can get it length of iterable minus 1, which will be 5. So the first iterable, the first tuple, like here, when we want to fetch the elements from the enumerate object, we pass it to the tuple method to get a tuple of tuples. So inside we get tuple of tuples. Like E1 here is the enumerate object, and we pass this E1 enumerate object to this tuple method to get tuple of tuples. Tuple of tuples, we know how it looks like. Outer tuple, inside that you will have sets of tuples. This is the first tuple. Inside the first tuple, 0 comma C. So here the index position 0 and this first element C are mapped, and that's how they are positioned, the index position and its corresponding element. Comma, this is the second tuple. In the second tuple, what will you have? In the second tuple, we'll have the 1th index position, and at 1th index position you have this element O. Then this is the third tuple. Here you will have two. Here you will have the second index position, that is the 2th index position, and its corresponding element, which lies at 2th index position, which is D. Then you have the next tuple 3 comma I. Definitely, the next index position is the third index position at which we have this element I. Then the next tuple is this one 4 comma n, because sequentially it will be moving to the next one. So at fourth index position only it will move. At fourth index position you have the element n, and then finally it moves to the last tuple 5 comma g, where the index position is 5 mapped to its corresponding element g. So you will have, when you have enumerate object, you pass it to tuple, you get tuple of tuples, and inside each tuple you will have two elements. The first element will be the index position, and the second element will be the corresponding element value. Okay. So here you have index position, comma, its corresponding element. Then index position, comma, corresponding element. Then here also the same thing. Here you have index position and its corresponding element. Then index position, comma, corresponding element. Okay. Here also index position, comma, current its corresponding element. Here also index position, comma, the corresponding element. Okay. Then next you have is zip method. Okay. Zip method. What does it zip method say? Zip method also we have covered in case of lists. Zip method, it sequentially maps each iterable's elements one after the other. So inside zip method you have to pass some iterables, and it will basically map each and every element of each and every iterable one by one sequentially, and it gives back a zip object. We can send a zip object to the tuple method in order to retrieve its contents. Just like enumerate object also, when you have zip object, then if you want to fetch the elements from the zip object, you can first of all pass it to list to get list of tuples, or you can pass it to tuple method to get tuple of tuples. That's what it said here. We can send a zip object to the tuple in order to retrieve its contents. A tuple of tuples is returned when zip object is passed to the tuple function. So let us see. Here you have E1 variable is equals to, here you have zip method. Inside the zip method, the first iterable that I'm passing is this tuple. This tuple is the first iterable passed inside the zip method. It has got the values 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Then what is the second iterable that I'm passing inside the zip method? This is the second iterable that I'm passing inside the zip method, and this second iterable is also a tuple. Okay, so inside the zip method, I have passed how many iterables? Two iterables. This is the first iterable, which is a tuple consisting of these values 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and then this is the second iterable, which is also a tuple consisting of these elements, these string values: John, Jamie, Leopold, Kapil, Tommy. Just for your education and explanation purposes, I have taken these random arbitrary names, fictional names. Okay. Then in the next line, print E1 comma type E1. So zip method, as we know, it will return a zip object. So here you get a zip object. Zip object created at this particular address, class is zip. Type E1 will give you the class. Then we have not yet fetched the elements from the zip object. So to fetch the elements from the zip object, we use the tuple method. Inside the tuple method, we pass E1. E1 is now the zip object. E1 is the zip object, and this we pass inside the tuple method so as to fetch the elements. So as to fetch the elements from the zip object. So again, E1 is the zip object, and this zip object we pass inside the tuple method so as to typecast it to tuple, so as to get tuple of tuples, so as to fetch the elements from the zip object. And the resultant is tup. Resultant will be stored in tup variable. Print tup comma type of tup. This if you do, so tup will be printed. It will be what? It will be tuple of tuples, because for zip object to retrieve its elements, we have to pass it to list to get list of tuples, or type pass it to tuple to get tuple of tuples. Here we have passed the zip object E1 to tuple to get tuple of tuples. And type of tup, definitely it will be tuple only. And here, as we can see, here we get the tuple of tuples. As you can see here inside, like when we print tup, here we get tuple of tuples. So outer tuple we have, inside this we have sets of tuples. Like here you have the first tuple, the first tuple 2 comma John. How we are getting this 2 comma John? Because what does this zip method do? This zip method, it basically maps each and every element of all the iterables one by one in sequence. So this is the first iterable. Okay, and this first tuple is the first iterable. And what is its first element? 2. Now, inside the zip method, we have passed this second iterable also, which is your second tuple. And inside this second iterable, what is the first element? John. So the first element of this iterable, that is 2, will be mapped to the first element of this iterable, that is John. And hence we get 2 comma John. So the first element of the first iterable is mapped to the first element of the second iterable, that is John. So you get 2 comma John. Okay. Again, I'm repeating, zip method will map all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence. So this first element of this first iterable will be mapped to the first element of the second iterable, 2 comma John. That's what you get as the first tuple. Then what will be the second tuple? Second tuple will be, you see, here we have now the second element mapped to this second element. So you get 4 comma Jammy, that is your second tuple. Okay. Then next is this third element 6. Third element 6 of the first iterable, it will be mapped to the third element of the second iterable, that is Leopold. And hence we get 6 comma Leopold here. Okay, 6 comma Leopold. Then similarly it moves to the next element 8. 8 is the fourth element, and it will be mapped to the fourth element of the second iterable. 8 is the fourth element of the first iterable. It will be mapped to the fourth element of the second iterable. What is the fourth element of the second iterable? It is couple. So 8 comma couple. Here we get 8 comma couple. Okay. 8 comma couple. Now similarly it now moves to the next element, which is the fifth element of the first iterable, and it will be mapped to the fifth element of the second iterable, that is with Tommy. So 9, which is the fifth element of the first iterable, will be mapped with the fifth element of the second iterable, which is Tommy. So 9 and Tommy will be mapped, and that's what we get here, 9 comma Tommy. Okay, now you can just run this. Then slightly coming down here, you have E1 is equals to zip. So zip method you have inside the zip method, this is the first iterable that I'm passing. What is this first iterable? It is a tuple. How many elements it has got? 5 elements. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Total 5 elements inside this tuple, which is the first iterable inside the zip method. Then we have to pass more than one iterable inside a zip method. Now this is the second iterable, which is a string, John. This is the third iterable, Jammy, which is string again. This is the fourth iterable, Leopold, which is string value again. Then this is the fifth iterable, which is string value again, Kapil. And then this is the last iterable, sixth iterable, which is your Tommy, string value again. These are again hypothetical names, just taken for your explanation purposes. So what happens is, total how many number of iterables? First iterable, second iterable, third iterable, fourth iterable, fifth iterable, sixth iterable. Total 6 iterables have been passed here inside the zip method. Zip method, it will basically map each and every element of all the iterables one by one in sequence. That means 2 will be mapped with J, 2 and J will be mapped with this capital J. So you have 2 comma j that will be mapped with L. Then 2 j L will be mapped with K. Then 2 j L K will be mapped with T. And that's what you get here as the first tuple. You see, 2 j L K T, because this is the first element which will be mapped to the first elements of the other iterables. First element of the next iterable mapped with this first element, mapped with this first element, mapped with this first element, mapped with this first element. Okay, and that will comprise you the first tuple. Already we have seen that when we apply the zip method, inside the zip method we pass so many iterables, it will return you zip object stored in E1. So E1 will be now zip object, print E1 comma type 1, that will give you this. E1 is nothing but a zip object at which memory address is created. Type of E1 will give you the class of it, class is zip. Now to fetch the elements from the zip object, we have to pass it to the tuple method. So you have tuple method. Inside this we pass the zip object which is E1. Resultant will be stored in TUP. Now if you go for print tup comma type tup, print tup comma type tup, then what you will get? You will get tuple of tuples. Zip method maps all the elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence, returns a zip object to fetch the elements from the zip object. You can pass it to either the list to get list of tuples, or you can pass it to tuple to get tuple of tuples. So definitely we have seen here we get tuple of tuples. Okay, and type of tup is nothing but your tuple only. Tuple data type tuple object it is. So here you get tuple of tuples. Then so in the first in the inside this, ultimately you will have tuple of tuples. So that means outer tuple, inside that you will have sets of tuples. This is the first set of tuple, and this is the first tuple that you get, inside which the first elements of all the iterables are mapped. 2 mapped with J, mapped with this J, mapped with L, mapped with K, mapped with T. Then sequentially the second element 4, it will be mapped with this second element of this iterable O, that will be mapped with this second element A of this next iterable. Sorry, 4 is mapped with 4 sorry 4 is mapped 4 is the second element of the first iterable. This will be mapped with this second element O. Okay, then it will be mapped with A, which is the second element of this iterable. So you have 4 O A mapped to each other, and where all these elements are the second these are the second components. Like here you have 4, which is the second element, mapped with O, which is the second element, mapped with A, which is the second element. This will be mapped, that is 4OA will be mapped with the second element of this iterable. So 4OAE. All the second elements of all the respective iterables are mapped to each other so far. 4OAE, that will be mapped to this second element. That will be mapped to this second element of this iterable, that is mapped to A. Okay, A is the second element of this iterable, and so you have 4OA, 4OA, EA, and that overall will be mapped with O, where this O is the second element of this last iterable. Okay, so that will be the second tuple, 4O, A, E, A, O. Okay, 4O, A, E, A, O. Then the third elements, all the respective third elements of all the iterables, they will be mapped to each other one by one in sequence. This is the third element. This is the third element of this first iterable. First iterable is this one, tuple. Okay, so what is the third element of this iterable? 6. 6 will be mapped. Will this 6 will be mapped with the third element of this iterable. This iterable means John. Okay, this is the second iterable. So 6 will be mapped with H. 6 will be mapped with H, where 6 is the third iterable and H is also the third iterable. So 6 and H, now 6 and H, they will be mapped to this small m, where this small m is the third element of this third iterable. What is the third iterable? It is Jammy. So 6HM. Then 6HM will be mapped to this third element of this iterable. What iterable? Fourth iterable. Fourth iterable means Leopold. What is its third element? O. So 6HMO mapped. Then 6HMO will be mapped with this particular third element of this particular iterable. What iterable? This next string value, fifth iterable, which is your couple. The fifth iterable, which is a string iterable, and the value is couple, and its third element is P. Now this will be also mapped. So overall, you have 6HMOP, and that these all will be mapped with this third element of the sixth iterable. What is the sixth iterable? Tommy. So its third element M will now be mapped, and together all these things will form your tuple. You see, you have 6HM, then O, then your P, then M. This is the third tuple. Okay. And then what happens? Then Python moves to the next. Python moves to the next element. What will be the next element? Fourth. What will be the next element? It will be the fourth element for all the iterables. So this will be the fourth element of the first iterable, that is 8. 8 will be mapped. 8 will be mapped with this 8 again. 8 is the fourth element of this first iterable tuple. This is the first iterable tuple, and its fourth element is 8. This will be mapped to the fourth element of the next iterable, that is n. So 8 and n. 8 and n will now be mapped to the fourth element of the next iterable. That means this small m. So 8 n m. Now they will be mapped to the fourth element of the next iterable. That means p. So you have 8NMP. 8NMP. Now together they will be mapped to the fourth element of the next iterable. Together they will be mapped to the fourth element of the next iterable. What is the fourth element of the next iterable? I. So you have 8 N M P I, and together now they will be mapped. Together now they will be mapped to the fourth element of the next iterable. What is the fourth element of the next iterable? M. So you have 8 N M, then P, then I, and then M. Okay. So that will be your next tuple. This is the next tuple, fourth tuple that we get. Fourth tuple that we get. Okay. Now it moves to the next. Now Python moves to the next element, and that will be the fifth element. Fifth element. So it will try to map all the fifth number of elements of all the iterables one by one in sequence. Fifth element of the first iterable is 9. Now it will be searching for the fifth element of the next iterable. Do you have the fifth element of the next iterable? In John, which is the next iterable, you have only 4 elements. You do not have any fifth element. Okay, so as soon as it finds this disconnect, there is a disconnect here, then and there stops the operation and prints this overall tuple of tuples. Okay, so please remember each and every iterable, like for the first iterable, which is a tuple, it has got 5 elements. So 9 is the fifth element. This 9 will be mapped to the fifth element of the next iterable. For the next iterable, there is no fifth element. As soon as Python finds this disconnect, it will stop its operation and print the tuple of tuples. In spite of the next iterables, like see in case of Jammy, it has got fifth iterable. In case of Leopold, it has got fifth iterable. In case of Kapil, it has got fifth iterable. In case of Tommy also, it has got fifth iterable. In case of Tommy also, it has got fifth iterable. Okay, so apart from the second iterable, every other iterable has got a fifth element. But the necessity condition is that all the iterables should have fifth number of elements. Then only the fifth tuple you will get, where all the fifth elements of all the iterables are mapped to each other one by one in sequence. But even if one disconnection is obtained, then and there Python stops its execution and you won't get any further tuple. Okay, so that's why 9 won't be mapped to anything. You won't get any fifth number of tuple. Total 4 number of tuples you get here, because 4 number of mappings were obtained here, because all the iterables had minimum 4 number of elements. Okay, all the iterables had minimum 4 number of iterables, but not all elements had 5 number of iterables. Like for example, the second iterable here, John, does not have 5 number of elements. Okay, It does not have any fifth element. So that's where Python obtained the disconnect and there stops the operation. Now the next method is filter method. This also we have covered in case of lists. Filter method, what it does is that basically, as you can see from the definition, filter method, it filters out the values of an iterable. So again, in filter method also, you have to pass an iterable. It will filter out the values of an iterable on the ground of some condition and returns a filter object. So as we know, in case of list also did the same thing. In case of filter method, you have to pass an iterable and it will filter out the values of the iterable on the basis of some condition and will return a filter object. To acquire the elements from the filter object, we can use the tuple function. Previously, we used the list. Previously, to fetch the elements from the filter object, we use the list function to get list. Now, to fetch the elements from the filter object, we can pass it to the tuple function to get tuple. So first of all, you see here str1, this is a variable, is equals to this entire string value you have. Hi, this is coding video, full stop. Try to teach Python. Okay, try to teach Python. Now here in the next f1 is equals to just the same way. In same way in which we applied the filter in case of list, same now we have to do in case of tuple also. You have to first of all write the filter method. This is the filter method. Inside the filter method, you have to write lambda y. This is an anonymous function. This is an anonymous function. Instead of y, you can take x, z, any any variable name you can take. Is to y in a e i o u capital, a e i o u small, comma str1. So if you remember the syntax, in case of filter method, what is the syntax? First of all, you have to pass the iterable inside the filter method. Inside the filter method at the end, inside the filter method at the end, you have to pass the iterable. What is the iterable here? str1 that we have passed. And additionally, along with it, also what you have to do, you have to write this lambda function, lambda y. If you want to write y, then y, otherwise you can, if you want to write x, x, whatever. Lambda y is to y in a e i o u, that is in caps, then a e i o u in small. Okay, so overall this lambda function you have to write, lambda y is to y in a e i o u, that is the condition, comma the iterable, comma the iterable. So the iterable you have to pass inside the filter method. So what will happen is entire str1 value is passed here. That is this entire string value. Hi, this is coding value, trying to teach Python. Now what will happen is each and every element will be passed here. Each and every element will be passed here in y, and then that is inside the inside the lambda method, each and every element will be passed in y. Then each and every element will be checked. Each and every element will be checked whether that particular element lies in this range also. What range? Capital A E I O U, small a e i o u. Anyone. If the element is found out to be any one out of this, then the condition is satisfied, otherwise not. So like the first one, capital H. Capital H, it is first of all passed here from str1. It goes here lambda. In place of y, you have H. H in A E I O U capital, A E I O U small. No. So the condition is not satisfied. So this is, what should I say, disregarded. Then the next element is passed, small I. So lambda, then y you have, in place of y you have I is 2. Now y in A E I O U. Now what is the value of y right now? It is I. So I in this range, capital A E I O U or small a e i o u? Yes. Where? Here. Small I is here. So condition for this second element is satisfied. So as soon as that condition is satisfied, this small I will be taken up as a component of the filter object. Because ultimately with the help of filter method, you get a filter object only. Space character won't satisfy the condition. T won't satisfy the condition. H won't satisfy the condition. Again, you have I. Here you have I. So from str1, I is passed here. Lambda y, in place of y you have I. Then is to y in this range. What is the value of y? The value of y is I. So I in this range. And you see, yes, small I is definitely in this range. Okay. Like here you see, small I is definitely in this range. Small I is definitely in this range. So condition is satisfied. It is taken into consideration. As you can see here, the first I, then this is the second I. Okay. Then in this way, all the other elements, there is, as you can understand, all the vowels are taken into consideration. All the vowels are checked and they will definitely satisfy this condition, and they will be the components of the filter object. Like this next I, this also satisfied, so becomes the next element of the filter object. Then here you have O, small o. This will satisfy, I will satisfy. Like this, all the components, whatever character inside this entire string value satisfies this particular criteria, that will be stored in the filter object. And f1, f1 will store the resultant. This will be your filter object. Print f1 comma type f1. If you do, then here you get filter object printed at what memory address that is given here. Class is filter. To fetch the elements from the filter object, you can typecast it to the tuple method and you get a tuple. So inside the tuple method, you pass f1 and the resultant you stored in tup tup. Print tup comma type tup. If you do, print tup comma type tup. If you do, then you get this tuple, and this tuple contains only the vowel characters, because we know, we have seen this example many a times. The vowel characters will only satisfy this particular condition, y in a e i o u. If the particular element, which will be in place of y, if that particular element satisfies this range, that is lies in this range, then that is taken into consideration, otherwise not. So ultimately you get tuple. Okay, you can run this cell. Then next, map method. Map method again, this we have also seen. Map in case of lists. In case of lists, we have also seen the map method. It maps the values of an iterable with respect to an expression and returns a map object. So map method, it basically maps the values of an iterable with respect to a particular expression and returns a map object. And to acquire the elements from the map object, we use the tuple function. Okay, to acquire the elements from the map object, we use the tuple function. So again, you have str1 is equals to welcome people. Okay, this is a string value. Now this string value I want to pass inside the map method. So first of all, here you have m1 variable, and it is equals to map inside the map method. Just the same syntax, the same format as that of filter, same thing inside map also. Lambda y. So anonymous function, lambda function, you have to pass is to the expression, not condition. In case of filter method, we give the condition, but in case of math method, we have to give the expression. Y dot upper. Y dot upper will do what? Here, upper method, if you remember, it converts into the uppercase letter. Upper method converts into uppercase letter. So y dot upper, it will convert each and every character into the uppercase. Okay. And lastly, you have to pass the iterable. Lastly, you have to pass the iterable inside the map method. So just like your filter method, in map method also, you have to first of all pass the lambda function. So lambda y is to y dot upper along with the expression, comma, the iterable that you are interested in, that also you have to pass. str1 is passed here. Now each and every character of str1 will be converted. You see, from str1, the first character is w. W is passed here, and W, it will be W dot upper. W dot upper. So W was already in capital letter, that will remain in capital letter. Then the next element passed will be small e. So from str1, small e is passed here to the lambda function. In place of y, you have small e. Then y dot upper will be nothing but e dot upper. So this small this small e will be converted into your capital E, like here. Okay. Then the next one is your small l. The small l from str1 will be passed to this particular lambda function, and in place of y, will have small. You will have small l. Okay, is to y dot upper. Y dot upper will be what? It will be l dot upper. So small l will be converted into capital L, like here. Okay, and in this way all the other characters will be also converted into uppercase letters. Small c will be converted into capital C, small o into capital O, small m into capital L, dot dot dot, like this, small e into capital E of people. Okay, and everything will be stored inside the map object, which is m1. Print m1 comma type m1. If you do, you get the map object created at this address. Type m1 will give you the class is map. Then tup is equals to, then here you have the tuple method. Inside the tuple method, you pass this map object, which is your m1. So tuple method, what it will do now, Map object, when you're printing it directly, we are not getting the elements of the map object. To fetch the elements from the map object, we have to pass it to the list, either to get list or to tuple method to get tuple. So to retrieve the elements from the map object M1, resultant will be stored in TUP. So when you print TUP comma type TUP, you get this tuple. And all the inside this tuple, as you can see, all the uppercase letters are there. All the uppercase letters of str1 are there. That is, all the elements of str1 have been converted into uppercase letters, and they are now the separate elements or components of this tuple. You see, W separately, E separately, L separately, C separately, O separately, M separately, E separately, space separately, P separately, dot dot dot, capital E of people separately. Okay. So that's it for this class, my dear friends. I hope you have liked this class, and if you have liked this class, kindly hit the like, share, and subscribe button and press the bell icon for notifications. And thank you.